The fluorescent lights of the ICU didn't hum, they hissed, a sound like a leaking oxygen tank. Silas Vane, a man who once calculated the compound interest on a pack of gum, gripped a cheap plastic pen. "It's a math problem, Elias," Silas whispered to his son. "The life support maintenance fee is $1,200 a day." Brenda Miller, the hospital's financial coordinator, stood at the foot of the bed. Her smile was as sterile as a scalpel. "It's a standard DNR, Murdoch Vane. It simply ensures we don't perform costly interventions." Silas signed. The ink bled into the cheap paper. He thought he was saving his legacy. The nurses moved differently. The urgency left the room. Silas was no longer a critical save. He was a final phase transition. At 11:45 p.m., the hospital's server synced with Ethelgard Holdings, the conglomerate that owned the hospital, Silas's bank, and his apartment complex. The algorithm saw the DNR. It didn't see a medical choice. It saw a projected asset liquidation trigger. At midnight, Silas's checking account containing his life savings of $84,000 was flagged. Status: terminal. Asset protection protocol: active. Elias tried to buy a coffee in the hospital cafeteria. Declined. He tried a different card. Declined. Silas woke up feeling strangely strong. "I'm still here, Elias. Look at that. Saved $1,200 already." A nurse entered, but she wasn't carrying medicine. She was carrying a clipboard for personal property inventory. "Why are you touching my watch?" Silas barked. "That's a 1960 for Omega. Standard procedure for closing files, sir," she said, not looking him in the eye. Elias stepped into the hallway, dialing the bank. "What do you mean probate lock?" "My father is sitting in room 412 eating lime jello." "Sir," the automated voice replied, "the Social Security Death Master file has been updated via the Ethelgard Medical API to the world of data. Silas Vane was already dead." The DNR had been interpreted as a certificate of imminent cessation. Elias's phone buzzed. "Notice of vacancy. Unit for beat lease terminated due to occupant expiration. Possession of properties scheduled for 14 o'clock. Elias sprinted to the parking lot. His car wouldn't start. The smart loan system had remotely disabled the engine. Dad's name is on the registration, Elias realized, slamming his fist against the steering wheel. Silas tried to call his sister. The outbound dialing feature on his bedside phone had been disconnected. A technician arrived to take the TV. "I'm watching the news," Silas yelled. "Account closed, pal," the tech said. Elias burst into Miller's office. "You've deleted him. He's alive and you're stripping his life." Miller didn't look up. The DNR financial waiver he signed included a pre-mortem settlement clause. It's designed to prevent medical debt from burdening the estate. She flipped to page 14. In exchange for a waiver of resuscitation costs, the patient consents to immediate asset stabilization. Stabilization, Elias whispered. "You mean theft." Security appeared at Silas's door. They weren't there to protect him. They were there to ensure the collateral didn't leave. Silas's skin was pale, not from illness, but from terror. "Elias, they took my wedding ring while I was asleep." Elias tried to log into the patient portal. User not found. The doctor did his rounds. He didn't speak to Silas. He spoke to the chart. "Patient is effectively settled," he muttered. Elias took a taxi to his father's home. The locks were already changed. A property of Ethelgard's sticker was on the door. In the alley, Elias saw his father's life. The photo albums. The 1982 bowling trophy. All tossed like trash. Elias grabbed the albums, tears blurring his vision. He was rescuing a man who was still breathing 3 miles away. Silas was cold. The hospital had turned off the luxury heating in his room. "I'll sign anything," Silas told the guard. "Just let me talk to my son." The guard didn't respond. He was listening to a podcast. Elias called a lawyer. It's a living probate case, the lawyer said. It'll take 6 months to prove he's alive. By then, the assets will be auctioned. Elias looked online. His father's Omega watch was already listed on a corporate secondary market site. Silas began to cry. Not for his life, but for the $3 he tried to save. I was so careful, Elias. I accounted for every penny. The DNR was the key that unlocked the vault. The system didn't want him to die. It just wanted him to be legally absent. The final blow landed. Silas's social security number was flagged as fraudulent. Because of the conflicting death report, his identity was gone. Silas Vane looked at his hands. If I'm not a citizen, and I'm not a tenant, and I'm not a bank customer, what am I? You're a liability, Miller said, entering the room with a final set of papers. And we are discharging you. They didn't give him his clothes. They gave him a paper gown and a plastic bag. Silas was wheeled to the curb. The hospital's liability ended at the sidewalk. Elias arrived just as the orderly left Silas on the concrete. Father and son sat on the curb. The sun was hot. The hospital towered over them like a fortress. Silas reached into his bag. It was empty. They kept the pen, Elias. The one I used to sign the paper. Elias looked at the hospital. He looked at the tablet in his bag, the one he'd used to try and hack the bank. If you're dead to them, Dad, then you don't have to follow their rules. Elias opened his laptop, tethering to the hospital's guest Wi-Fi. He didn't try to revive Silas's identity. He decided to kill the hospital. Elias wrote a simple loop. If Silas Vane equals deceased, then hospital revenue equals 0. He hit enter. The code mirrored the logic of the DNR. It was a do not reimburse order for the entire facility. Inside, Miller's computer began to beep. Every credit card transaction in the hospital was being reversed. The cafeteria stopped serving. The pharmacy robots locked. The system was eating itself. We need to get out of here, Elias said, helping his father into the back of a taxi he depaid for with a hidden stash of cash. They checked into a dive motel under false names. Silas sat on the bed, staring at the TV. Ethelgard Holdings hit by massive accounting anomaly, the news anchor reported. The company was losing millions per minute because the system couldn't verify life status for any of its patients. I lost the house, Elias, Silas said. The photos, the memories. Elias pulled the albums from his bag. Not all of them, Dad. Silas touched the plastic cover of an old photo. I spent 70 years counting. I forgot to live. Silas's heart gave a strange flutter. Not a failure, but a jumpstart. The death master file was corrected by a frantic government intern. Silas was resurrected in the eyes of the law. Elias didn't want the money back. He wanted the system dismantled. The lawsuit revealed 4,000 other seniors who had been liquidated by the DNR loophole. Ethelgard offered $10 million. Silas refused. I'm dead. Remember, Silas told the lawyers. You can't settle with a ghost. They bought a small house by the sea. No smart locks. No cloud-sensed accounts. On Silas's 75th birthday, Elias handed him a small box. Inside was a 1964 Omega. He tracked it down at an auction. Silas looked at the watch. He didn't check the time. He just felt the weight of it. What's the value of this, Dad? Elias asked. Silas smiled, his heart beating a rhythm that no ledger could ever contain. It's priceless, son, because it doesn't cost a thing. The DNR form was eventually framed and hung in Silas's new hallway. Not as a medical instruction, but as a reminder. The most expensive thing in the world is trying to save a penny at the cost of your soul. Silas Vane lived another 12 years, and when he finally did go, He went with a heart so full the machines couldn't even begin to measure the wealth he left behind.